So how did I meet Lord Farquaad? I think it's more important to know who I was prior to meeting him. I was married for 13 years, and in divorce, 2 kids. And about a year, it took me a while to kind of figure out what that was, right? And so at the time of meeting Lord Farquaad, or getting a DM rather, and we'll kind of go to how one DM can really fuck up your life. I thought I was so ready to just love something. I wanted to take everything I learned in my marriage, all the things that I felt like I, didn't do right. I wanted to just I was ready to give that to someone. So once I got a DM from Lord Farquaad, I thought there was so much spiritual connection with that situation because, there was a connection to one of my family members. She had known of him. Also, our dads grew up together and were friends. And it was just such a strange, I was curious about him, right? So I had viewed a few of his Instagram stories and stuff. And mind you, he had private pilot in his thing. I did think that he was actually a pilot. Wrong. You can't even be a 5'5" pilot, just so you know. So he sends me a DM asking me if I was married. And I was not anymore. And then we just got to talking. I was talking to him a lot about business and how to help him with his. And, the story just goes and goes. But I pulled a lot of already liking him. I'm very interesting in that way. I either like you or I don't. I think that a lot of people are like that, but for me, I'm very based on instant connection, and I was very curious about him. So we go on our first date, which is to the and mind you, wait, before I go into that, he told me he had 4 kids. Now, 6'4", 2, 4, 6, 8, whatever, but he told me he had 4 kids. And so I was kind of okay, it didn't feel too much, I have 2, it was 2 more than I had, they were still 3 baby mamas. He was clear about that. But that's probably a nice red flag that he had already started lying from the very beginning. In talking to me. So we go on our first date, and a lot on that date could have told me about how this was all going to play out now that I look back at it. But as I, was in the moment, I was just oh my goodness. We go to the the movie drive-in. I had a big white car at the time. And I was I got my car all nice, made it into a little bed. I got all these snacks. Fast forward, maybe a year and a half into our relationship, he brought that up, how I had gotten all the snacks that I liked and didn't even consider what he liked. And I was it's the first date. Honestly, as the girl, I shouldn't even have to do that. You know what I mean? I was already driving. I set the mood. Let's just be serious, So that was interesting, kind of callback. But anyways, we go to the drive-in. I don't know why I keep calling it that. And it's cool. I let one thing turn into another. And that's another thing about me. I'll say this, I'm not the type to let people, I don't sleep with a lot of people. And I know a lot of women say it, but I really don't. But I know when I'm going to sleep with somebody. And I knew I was going to sleep with him. And so that happened. It was cool. It was cool. But I just remember that whole situation, it was very instant for me, on liking him. I immediately, it went 0 to 100 real quick for me, if I have to be honest with myself. And so that happens, and I'm gonna save that for another story time, but just that first date, there was a few things that he did. He kept going to the bathroom, which I know now was just to text all of his other honeys, and let them know his whereabouts. He had made some promises, that he was really looking for something like this, and it just was he was ideal. Like, even with all his things, like, he was super, like, intriguing. Like, he really played the most charming part. And so, yeah, that's how I met Lord Farquaad. And that's how he got me like this, you know? A lot of things happened even just after that first date till then that I'm going to share with you guys. But that's kind of it for now. You know, that's how he wrapped me in. And, like, I did, again, look into a lot of things like, oh, my God, you know, like, our dads grew up together. Like, I thought there were all these, like, spiritual alignments with, like, me and him. You know, he was a water sign. I'm a water sign. Oh, my God. You know, just being a real delusional crazy. You know what I mean? But, like, there were so many things that made it feel more intense that, like, before I could even start to see that things weren't adding up, I was already attached. And that's, like, the bigger call out for myself is I need to understand that, like, I'm so good at for the most part, like, not attaching to people. Like, I you know, I'm not an ugly woman. Like, I've had a lot of people approach me, and I'm very easy, like, oh, no thanks, until someone makes me go, oh, yeah. And so it's, like, complete, like, contrast. It's, like, you know, I either don't like people and kind of close off, and I'm just, like, you know, no, good at that. And then I like someone, and then it's, like, full speed ahead. No, like, you know, just no common sense in the matter. And that's a part I need to work on with me because I give a lot before it's even earned. And there's a butterfly here, just so you guys know. I don't know if you can see it. It's I always think of those as, like, you know, a sign that I'm on the right track of whatever I'm doing. Okay, back to that. So I need to work on within myself, like, how to not attach so fast because, like, I attributed so many things that I wanted to give a partner. I gave them, like, ASAP Rocky. Like, as soon as I felt that, and I was like, oh my God, this is, like, my person. This is it. I'm going to lock in on this person, and this is going to be the person. And it's like, you didn't even earn that. Like, what? Because our dads grew up together? No. Because, you know, we're the same element? No. What? Because, like, you know, you're cute? No. So, like, that calls a lot to my discernment and how, like, I choose a partner. And really, like, asking myself, like, am I always needing this instant connection? Because that doesn't really happen a lot, but when it does, like, is that a safe connection? And then also, like, is the some of the connections that I don't entertain because they do feel, like, safe or boring or whatever, like, are those, like, what I'm really supposed to be doing? And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, man, I had this conversation with my dad, and we were just like, he was like, why can't you just like somebody that's, like, not a hustler or not, like, you know, that has, like, a normal job and, like, is, like, a stable person? Like, why do you have to always go after these projects? And, like, I'm really trying to find that within myself because, you know, that got me in some deep shit. So if you enjoyed this and want to learn a little bit more, or if you've, like, experienced the same thing where you're, like, attach yourself really quick to something that's not always earned or healthy. And sorry, I don't know why I'm out of breath. I mean, I told you guys I'm gonna be walking because one thing we're gonna do is skinny on these things, right? Like, we're gonna be talking, we're gonna be happy, we're gonna be healing, and we're gonna be skinny. But in all seriousness, have you ever, like, quickly attached to someone, and how did it work out? Like, did it work out? And, you know, I quickly attached to my ex-husband too. You know, we clicked in, like, a second. We were much younger, and so I thought after that, you know, I was all well known and, you know, had solved all these internal things and did all the therapy, and I was super, you know, ready for, like, a healthy relationship. But things got toxic, and, like, I'm not gonna paint the picture of me being just only the victim. Like, I can dish it too. I can dish it, okay? Like, you know, your girl is a Scorpio, she's a little toxic. You know, I'm working on it, but I feel like with the right person, I'm not gonna be that way. But in this relationship, it went. It got toxic, okay? That's all I'm going to say about that. So, that's kind of where I'm at. That's what this segment, this walk is about. I'm calling it Walkie-Talkie because, like, it's like when you use a walkie-talkie, you're, like, talking to other people and you're kind of transmitting information. And, of course, I'm walking. So, you know, I hope you guys like that. This has been cool. Like, I've just started this a day ago, and I've gotten so many responses and like so much like good feedback. So I'm liking it, and I'm, getting healthy, and I hope to encourage you guys to do the same. And I love hearing your stories, and thanks for watching.